Which nuts and seeds are healthiest and least healthy? Others have said to avoid peanuts and cashews.
I think the healthiest nut or seed would be walnuts, wouldn't you say?
Yes, as
because
long
they
as
have-
they're fresh and not rancid.
Yes, of course. If they taste bitter, then they're no longer fresh enough to be good. Nuts and seeds vary quite a bit. Again, I checked my dietary analysis tool and looked at the different nuts and seeds here. The vitamin E in sunflower seeds, 36 milligrams.
They're great.
Black walnuts, 32 milligrams. Almonds, 27 milligrams. But peanuts only have 8 milligrams. So they're a little lower in vitamin E than the others. Coconut meat, 0.8 milligrams, almost nothing. And cashews, 6.6 milligrams. Again, a little lower than most of them. However, cashews are the second highest in copper and iron. So perhaps some people who are trying to get enough copper and iron might want to include cashews. However, cashews are third lowest in calcium. Coconuts, of course, are even lower. Now, peanuts are used widely in China. That's the main nut that they eat. They're the highest in protein, niacin, and folate. We mentioned folate as being a crucial nutrient. Niacin is a crucial nutrient for keeping our blood vessels open and working. And they're highest in protein in case you happen to be needing some more of that. Most people get too much. So really, there's a balance in the nuts. It might be a good idea to mix and match a little bit. But I do prefer walnuts and almonds. Personally, I like to eat them every day.
You mentioned coconut oil much earlier. You just mentioned coconut meat. My question is, in general, are coconut meat, coconut milk, and coconut oil good or bad for our health?
There's only one answer to that. All three are bad for our health. And they're bad because of their high saturated fat content. Coconut oil is 84 to 92% saturated. And as I mentioned, 65% of the oils are the three that clog our arteries. It's deadly stuff. We should stay away from it. Also, as I mentioned, it has virtually no vitamin E, virtually no phytosterols, so they lower our blood cholesterol. Let's see, I did write down the amount. There's 30% of the meat is saturated fat. In the milk, it's 21%, and in the oil, like I said, 83 to 92%. These are very high. Just to compare, the oil has twice as much saturated fat as lard or butter. And I know there's a lot of people who would shudder to eat lard or butter, but are gobbling down coconut oil. It seems to be a bit of a fad, and I will say that your term coconut oil is a bit of a misnomer. In lipid terminology, any fat, when it's solid at room temperature, is called a fat. If it's liquid at room temperature, it's called an oil. And we all know that coconut oil is solid at room temperature, hence the proper term is coconut fat. Hard for the marketers to sell it as a coconut fat, though.
Okay, now I'd like to answer that also.
Okay.
We live on Maui, and there are a lot of people who do fasting and they just drink coconut water. Coconut water's fine, by the way. It's got the electrolytes and it's just lovely, effervescent.
More potassium than a banana.
And it tastes different at different stages in the coconut's life, which is fun too.
Yeah, and the real coconut water that we get by cracking coconuts is worlds better than the bottled stuff, but the bottled stuff's still good if it's not added sugar.
So then let's move on to the coconut meat. We have friends who are raw food or who do somewhat like fasting, and they can probably handle a little bit of the saturated fat that comes in the coconut meat. So on Maui, first of all, we have many palm trees with coconuts on our property, and occasionally we'll crack a coconut. But you know what? You get full. You eat a few bites and it takes a long time to chew, and it's a little fatty, and you feel like, okay, I've had enough of that. Thank you very much.
It's very fibrous. It's not like coconut oil where it's so easy to overdo it.
So those people who are having very little saturated fats elsewhere in their life can probably handle it. If their limit is 11 grams per day and they're getting 5 grams in some coconut meat on occasion, they can handle it. Now, about the coconut milk, I really enjoy Thai yellow curry with coconut milk. I love it. I started reading the cans, and 55 grams of saturated fat means I can only eat a fifth of a can, and then I'm getting my whole day's worth of saturated fat. So I'm down to only having my delicious favorite Thai yellow curry with coconut milk only once every month or two. as a treat instead of every day.
So only 1/5 of a can of coconut milk is
11
maxing
grams,
out
yeah.
your whole day for saturated fat. And there's nothing good about these saturated fats.
So where I'm at is I'm not saying no, never. I'm saying be aware, be advised, educate yourself, and use it on occasion as appropriate.